Mr. Norman Roche, County Commissioner Extraordinaire, to enlighten us on what's happening in the county.
That is
I understand that you wanted to talk about budget issues?
Oh, man, yeah. Your $1.6 billion budget for county services. But it's been, I guess, about a year since I've been here. And I'm grayer. I lost a lot of weight, but I have found it, to hell with Jenny Craig, I have found the solution: braces. The braces at 15 is one thing, at 51, very different. And I'm a meat and potato chips guy, so it's been a trip out. My wife is happy because I've eaten a lot more vegetables, but it's been great for it. I was getting that sort of, when I first got elected, I wasn't trained through politics, so I came in and still often open mouth and insert foot. So I was on call immediately. Everybody's like, get this guy in front of us, he's got to talk because the time's is low, and he'll just talk. And so everything had rubber chicken lunches with it and all that sort of stuff. So I was getting that huge, I guess what we in college call freshman 10, but it was more like 20. So this came along, I thought I'd straighten him out, what the heck. So, and I've enjoyed it. It's the 6 months into my third year of the honor of being your county commissioner. I love the work. I love the challenges. I don't like the politics. I'm not good at it. I'm not good at the handshake, wink, nod, slap the back. Vote for this, I'll vote for that stuff. I don't do that. I'm just a straightforward individual, character defects and all. And I love the work, the job that I do, and I will be running for my final term. What seat I'm going to be running for, I don't know yet, because my wife and I are downsizing. We have like a 5-bedroom, 3-bath house, and we're down to just Joy and I and a boy. Our 26-year-old, I'm a very, very proud pop. Our 26-year-old is, she graduated from USF. She's teaching at Calvary Christian High School. She took after Mama. She's teaching drama theater there. And she also has her own business. She's an entrepreneur. She's a great photographer. But she's 26 and she's paid off her college bills, and Dad's saying, get out, done. Get out into the real world. We're very, very proud of our middle daughter, Megan. She just graduated FSU with her bachelor's in communications studies and religion with a minor in international studies. Megan takes after Dad, me. Her brain won't shut off. She's nonstop work. And they offered her, thank you, Lord. She had a full boat ride for her master's degree at FSU. And she's actually teaching a class. And they published her undergrad thesis, which would be a good read. It's about rhetorical criticism. Some of my colleagues ought to read. I think they're in it. But no, I'm kidding. The Times, however, when they see the reality of her study, a lot of people are going to be shocked. But and they want her to write another one. So she's going to stay on. She's going to stay there. She's a youth pastor at her church for the youth kids, and she's great. So it's Joy and I and the boy, who's 16, and if he doesn't straighten up, ain't going to make it to 17. But we're going to do our best with him. So we're going to downsize if someone wants to buy a house. So if they do, then I'll decide where I'm moving. Not moving out of Pinellas County. And do intend to run again, whether I stay in the same district seat I made, and then it's Ed and I going at it, next year, which is okay. I'd rather have him join me. I could use the help, not the challenge, but that's a different story altogether. We'll have plenty of time for that. But it's very interesting. I love the work that I do for you. That's why I pay. When I fly, I got to pay 3 carry-on charges. One for the stuff with all my clothes, and these 2 right here that go with it, because I don't take myself very seriously, but I take my job extremely seriously. I grew up here and had a goal to do this. Got there. I'm honored and blessed by it, and will do my final term. So I can talk all day and all night long, but Jack brought me an issue he wants to talk about stormwater, and I'd love to hear from you on where it's going. So I'm here in this seat for another year and a half. Whether I'm there for another year and a half or 5.5 more years, my goal has always been and will remain, I'm walking out that door the way I walked in. Head up, telling the truth, and integrity intact. And that's the way it is. I don't play games. I'm not politically correct. I call it what it is. I'm not perfect. The only perfect person I'm aware of is nailed to a cross. So I've got my flaws, and I'll be happy to talk about any of them. But Jack brought up this article here about stormwater, because that is one of the new taxes coming your way. And let me tell you this, it's difficult, but our citizens need to know that there is one county commissioner up there doing homework and willing to say no. And that's me. And if that makes me the enemy, so be it. Other than my tumultuous first year, which I like to call affectionately my little mini stimulus package for the St. Pete Times, because if they didn't have me, they wouldn't have anything to write about that first year. So, and a lot of it was fascinating. But yes, you have a litany of tax increases coming your way, and I'm outvoted up there, so they're coming. Stormwater fee, property tax increase, EMS tax increase, about water, sewer, most every fee. And then of course, going to ask for some more in 2014 for an 8 cent for the transit rail tax. So I'm very concerned about it. Like I said, I could use the help up there, because very recently we actually, or staff did, actually took economic development and job creation off our priority list and replaced it with global warming and sea level rise. Now I'm not being illogical. We all found out in the middle of a work session when staff put up the new priority list, and everyone went, what? Whoa, whoa. So I've raised hype about it. Commissioner Welch did, and Commissioner Justice did, and then by the next meeting it was only me. So I'm not sure, but that's a trouble for me when we have a median household income in this county that has fluctuated between $40,000 and $45,000 a year for the past decade. But everything else has climbed amazingly. And if we do not get our rear ends busy on economic development and creating jobs in this county, we won't have a county. We need that. We cannot exist purely on tourism and real estate investment. We need jobs. Now, we're not going to bring a big car manufacturing plant or something of that nature because we don't have the space. But microtechnology, nanotechnology, healthcare is big as well, and of course tourism. We are the American Riviera. That's what this county is. We are the most gorgeous place in the state of Florida. We're extremely unique. And we need to focus on that and keep our tourism going very strong, keep our beaches in shape, keep them nourished, because that's a big part of us. But we're not going to exist on that. It's bubble economics is what it is. Because the tourism ebb and flows with the economy, and real estate ebb and flows. And you cannot run a balanced budget when your structure is going like this. That's why a lot of the governments have problems, in my opinion, with balancing budgets, because the revenue streams and the created revenue streams are like this. And it's very difficult. Stormwater is coming, and the proposal is to create a county-wide fee, or a fee for the unincorporated only. The current rate they're suggesting is $10.50. Some of my colleagues want more. One of my colleagues, I was quite encouraged at our meeting on Tuesday, recommended perhaps less. I recommended an entirely different proposal that did not get support. Our staff, we have a stormwater problem in this county, that's for sure. We're very concrete, doesn't matter how much water you put on concrete, make sure you adjust your sprinkler heads. Your concrete isn't going to grow, so make sure it's on your grass. But we do have a problem with that, but we cause it ourselves. Part of our reclaimed water is part of the problem as well. And we need to address it. We have some 1,800 ponds in the county that when developers finish developing a neighborhood and this is a real problem, not problem, but it is, turned those over to the homeowner associations, but those folks who took possession of the homeowners that didn't read the small print realized that that is your private, that's your property. So a lot of folks, when money was real flush and flowing like crazy in Pinellas County during the bubble, county had programs going out and cleaning up on those ponds, which were private. And when the money crashed and the bubble went away, those are some of the cuts, and now people are going, hey, you know, how is this going to do? Yeah. So they created the stormwater, the fertilizer ban, kind of saying that the weekend spreader jockey was the problem, and then exempted golf courses and agriculture, which are two big users of it, which is very much like creating a ban on texting while driving and exempting teenagers. It makes no sense, and the problem has to be consolidated. Water knows no boundaries. It doesn't, and we have 15 silos, taxing silos as it is in this county for stormwater. The county has been spending somewhere in the area of $10 million a year out of our transportation trust fund, the gas tax, towards stormwater projects in unincorporated and in some of the cities relative to roadway projects. I have tried to get staff to tell me how long we've been doing that, but nobody can. So my best estimate is 10 years. So that's $100 million we've already spent. The cities have been charging the 15 of them anywhere from $2 to $14 a month. They have spent hundreds of millions, and we still have a failing problem. My very strong belief is creating a 16th taxing silo is not going to solve that problem. This has to be consolidated, period. We also had a recent discussion, staff did, with all those 15 providers, 13 of which said they are more than willing to have some kind of discussion on a countywide system. Now, I hear a lot of talk about regionalization. You've all heard it too. Regionalize the rails, regionalize rail and transit system, and regionalize this and that, and economic development and water and things. But if we cannot even consolidate departments within our own borders, how in the hell do we expect to regionalize a system between two major or three or more major government entities? It cannot be done. And I always think that the best way for us to demonstrate to our citizens that we can do something of that large scale is to do the little things, relatively, of course. So my very strong belief is on the stormwater, although I believe it will pass. I think we'll be having another tax. Staff has already identified 5 major stormwater projects in the unincorporated area that would go a long way towards solving this issue. And those 5 projects have a combined or collective price tag of $12 million. One of them we're already working on with partnership with Swift Mud and Tarpon. So that leaves 4. We have a thing called Penny for Pinellas. We have a job called Leadership and Prioritizing. So my recommendation, which has been rejected, but I will make it again before they make the final push, is to prioritize our Penny for Pinellas, let those 5 projects out, which have a total price of $12 million, which I'm not saying is a little bit. Our Penny for Pinellas collects on average between $90 and $110 million a year. If this is that big, if we've created that sense of urgency that we need to address this now, then let's do it. Let's be adults, let's prioritize, let those projects out, identify the cost of O&M, the operations and maintenance of these projects through our departmental budgets, and go to work talking with those 15 on how to consolidate this system countywide. Stormwater. It knows no boundaries. It makes absolute common sense to do that. It's a real problem and it has to be addressed. But my position is creating a 16th separate taxing silo. Other little, working in your little area boxes is not going to solve that problem. It has to be a consolidated countywide system. But that fee, Jack, and that's, I think, is what was in the paper. They rarely write my stuff right, but those little papers do better than my fan club over at the Times. These smaller beacons do much more of a he said, she said, and here it is, and they don't spin it. So, and that's what it meant when, that's what my statements in there are. That is my belief, not creating another taxation and another separate system. So, but I suspect it is coming. I would urge you, if you disagree or agree with me or have your own idea, start sending it to your county commissioners. saying, look, you know, let's consolidate, let's do this, or here's my idea, you know. But, so does that answer your question, Jackie? You'd ask me about it?
That was very good.
Okay, wonderful. So that's coming as well. And of course, the big EMS issue that is it's been very big. We have a wonderful, tremendous system. It's champagne loading style. It's wonderful. It's very good. But folks are having a very difficult time realizing, looking out the door when there's a car accident and seeing a ladder truck and a red box first responder truck, and then up comes the Sunstar thing, and that's hard to deal with. And that is, unless of course it's your family member in trouble, because then you want helicopters. Give me all, I don't care, you know. But we simply can't afford it anymore. I was not in favor of doing yet another study on it. I don't think we need to. The system we have works, it works well. Fire transport works well. This is a matter of making decisions based on that. I've met with the Fitch consultants. That was a $300,000 consultant study. I voted against, but we were required by legislature, by Senator Laval, pushed us to do that. And I didn't necessarily think we'd heard enough and we were ready to make a decision. Then there's the big battle on priority dispatch. That's going on now, and I think that'll be extended beyond. I don't know if you guys are tracking that. If you're lost on what I'm saying, then Roche, stop. Explain more, because I can go on the issue for an hour. I'm not a soundbite guy. I substance give you as much information necessary to really understand what's going on. Because although our honorable legislators that are here do their hard work up there, your life is most impacted by your local government, your county commission. That's where most of your money is coming and going to. And we need to get far more involved on that. So I'll keep talking, but I need to shut up and hear from you.
I want to commend you for your votes. I watched those county board meetings. You're the only fiscal conservative on that board.
Thank you.
We've got 3 rhinos and 3 Democrats, as far as I'm concerned. And I think Bostock and Brickfield are gone. You're all that's left.
That's right.
And I feel so bad because I worked so hard for those 2, and I still cry when I don't think we worked hard enough. I don't think people realize these 2 were in trouble. But I do have a question.
Thank you for your comments. I appreciate it. It's very.
Well, you have my vote, and my signs out there will be in my yard. I feel, I have a little conspiracy theory. I feel like this county wants to push us to 8 cents on the dollar for sales tax. And the reason I feel this is because what Canada just did not too long ago, what they did, they eliminated the penny. So I'm thinking if we stay at 7 cents on the dollar and we ever eliminate the penny, where are we going to go? We're going to go 5 cents on the dollar. But if they get us to 8 cents on the dollar, then guess what? We got 10 cents on the dollar. And that really concerns me. Am I off base? Is this just a theory that just doesn't make any sense?
No, I've always said, look, if the taxpayer, let me tell you, there's one certainty that I've learned, is that if the taxpayers vote to be taxed so government can build something, you will be taxed and they will build something. That's what it is. The citizens want this 8 cent and vote for it, and they're going to get it. It's very straightforward. It's not seemingly, the majority vote isn't seemingly accepted on some things. That's a little side thing on term limits, but the, if you're specifically worried about rail, the numbers don't work for me. I believe personally, having looked at the study, and I'm on not only PSD. See, when you're county commission, by the way, and I'll come right back to it. You don't just do county commission. You are by statute in some cases, required to serve on several other boards. My other boards are PSTA, the bus system, Early Learning Coalition. I am the chair of the Pinellas County Safety Council, and the Pinellas County Licensing Board, which is the daycare licensing board and the value adjustment board. Each of those with an agenda, each of those with the support data, which is why I got the 2 bags. So I do my homework. But those are all there. To that point, PSTA's budget now is $60 million a year. Most of that comes from, about 33 million of it comes from property tax. About 12 million of that from fares, the rest from grants. This alternative analysis plan calls for basically the doubling of the bus system in order to support that rail that they want to build. Well, if Pinellas is bringing in $90 to $110 million a year, this is important. If it's bringing in $90 to $110 million a year, and the current system you have now is, by definition of their own, severely underfunded at $60 million, do the math. It isn't enough money to even do what you want, and now they're adding on bike trails, more walking trails. One of my colleagues the other day at our board meeting said we're also going to include a program to go around and fill potholes all over the county. The money isn't there. That isn't enough money. And again, you're talking about a consistent expense with a inconsistent money flow based on the economy. Again, from my perspective, I'm not an anti-rail guy. Of course, that's what the tag is. You know, that's the new game, by the way. That's how the other side, if you will, is beating Republicans. They've become very, very good at semantics. So as soon as you disagree with something, you're slapped with an anti-thing, and then it's anti, and then they just go and go and go. I have been slapped with so many labels. I look like a traveling suitcase. You know, it's bigot, homophobe, racist, left-wing nut, right-wing nut, Tea Party nut, keg party nut. I mean, anything. They just slap it. But they've kind of jumped the shark with it. It just bounces off anymore, you know, and I don't even talk to them anymore. But most of the traffic, and I'll use rough figures, 100,000 trips coming north and south into this county and over the bridges. So a rail from St. Pete to Clearwater with it makes no sense. If we wanted a main transportation, it would be north and south, right down between 19 or something. That's, you know, something of that nature, and I think that's a flaw in this whole theory. And maybe, hey, let's do this because we want to expand and build more in the future and hopefully get Hillsborough and make that link and so on and so on. But this project, from my perspective, the money isn't there, the money does not fund it, and you have to remember, this is not going to be told, but this is extremely important, is that half of the funding for this rail transit project is being labeled as coming from the federal government. This is key. This is very key. This is why I'm not the loved one, you know. Because this will not be told, but you need to know this, and you can find this out. Go to FTA, Federal Transportation Authority /2012 grant, and you'll find it. We can't even submit for that money. That you will be told, as part of this, we got it, it's covered, it's funded, boom, boom, boom. We can't even submit for that money unless we first pass a local tax. Now, following? Then we can submit a request for that money, and if that request is accepted, we will go about number 26 on an already existing list. And in case anybody isn't checking, our federal government's running out of money too. So I'm not feeling like we're going to get down to 26 on that, and then of course it will come back to, oh my gosh, how are we going to pay for that? Boom, 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 boom. I have no problem if you have a grand plan. Lay all the data on the table, be honest with it, straight up, this is where it's going, this is what's going to cost, no BS, no grant, no this, no slippery anything, and people, do you want it? Because as I said, if you want it, and you vote for it, you're going to get it. But you need it. You have the right to have all the facts on this particular plan. I don't think our county's built for rail yet. I've said it many times. We just don't have that vision yet. Could it be? Absolutely. But it's not. We can't get bus stop covers. We've got an entire world right here. You know, everybody got a cell phone? If your cell phone goes off right now and it's one of your children says, Dad, I'm hurt, I'm over here, what's the next thing you're reaching for? Car keys. You cannot tell in a world that wants instantaneous gratification right now to walk a half a mile up the road in a pouring down rainstorm, wait on a bus, go over here, pay to get on a rail, and go down this. It ain't gonna happen. Unless you've developed your county. Now, we're at that precipice, in my opinion, because we're built out. If we had true vision and looked at taking something like St. Petersburg in Midtown, putting a no tax economic development zone, and just go get them and build it to where there's 200,000 jobs there every day, where people from Palm Harbor need to get there, and they'll go A to B, then it makes sense. But to say, oh, we're, Charlotte, oh, New York, we're not these places. People don't come down here for that unless we're developed for it. You make sense out of it, I get it, but I've talked with their whole planners, the Jacobs Engineering, who assured me that we get from my office in downtown Clearwater to St. Pete in less than an hour on this system. And I said, you're baloney. No disrespect, but the average speed of light rail, and I've studied it, I use my own money, I travel all over this country. I've gone to Chicago, I've gone to New York, I've gone to California, I've studied MARTA in Atlanta, I've gone to Charlotte, and the company I used to work for helped build the one in Miami called Tri-Rail, which they now affectionately call Tri-Fail. Subsidized 80 cents on the dollar down there.
Wow.
And if you want that, that's okay, but you need to be told that. That's what it is, not some sad thing there. The company I worked for before I got elected in engineering, geotechnical, did part of that. And I've been down here 3 or 4 times, studying it. And it just will not fit here yet, unless we are developed for it. They don't make money. Public transportation is almost a need. You need buses, you need things like that. Folks who can't afford a car and all that sort of stuff, low-wage jobs, it makes sense. It's something you need. But should we first run a effective, efficient, usable mass transit busing system to demonstrate, back to my sort of consolidation theory, that we can do this in the first place? Maybe get our high school kids on this system so that the school can save some money. Now, there's a state law that have to change. I'm talking about the little kids, not the high school kids, college kids. While you're redeveloping, get a vision is what I'm saying. Let's get a vision. I'm okay with it. We're at that point. I'd love to stay a 2-bedroom or 2-story county. Love to. Bedroom community. But your tax is going to go up 3 times. 3-fold just to be able to maintain the government anymore. So we do have to think some things. But we've got to get there. We've got to put the cart back behind the horse and do it right, in the right way. So again, if we redevelop this county and a rail makes sense, fine, fund it, but I'm not real fond of funding it on a tax dollar, something that is that solid capital infrastructure based, because that is inconsistent. That's why education in this state is a mess, quite frankly, funding-wise. And I know Ms. Peters and Mr. Hooper's doing the best up there. I know Tallahassee is. But it was the lotto thing that screwed that up, quite frankly. Because you can't fund this. You can't balance a budget. That's why nobody can balance a budget in education. You need a base funding for it. So, I won't, as a voter and a taxpayer, grew up here or whatever, I won't vote for it myself. And I won't vote to put it even on the ballot. The numbers don't match. I'm not going to support BSing the people in the tax dollar. I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to be honest with it, that's fine. If our citizens are going in with all eyes wide open and everything on the table and want it, no worries. That's my job. I work for you. You say build it, take my money and build it, Norm, I will do it. I work for you. That's my job. But you need to have all eyes wide open on it. Can we get there? Sure, absolutely. Are we there ready for it now at this stage? I don't believe so. Not at all, not without a grand picture. We've got a huge market of zombie homes out there. We have lost 50,000 in population in this county over the past 5 years. 50,000. They didn't leave because they didn't have extra fluoride in their water. They didn't leave because we didn't have a domestic partner registry. They didn't leave because we didn't have rail. They left because they didn't have a job.
That's right.
And $10 an hour does not sustain living in this. Well, that's what happened with the bubble. That median household income of 45 stayed there, but the housing went to $280,000 a year, and that math doesn't work. And most of the houses have been snapped up. 60% of them cash deals. Investors are sitting on waiting for another bubble. And we cannot exist anymore in this country on bubble economics. We have to know exactly what we're providing to the citizens based on the need, not necessarily the want. And that's the harsh realities we're going to have to face. And then collect the dollars specifically for that and provide that. I think government, in my personal opinion, needs to get out of a lot of businesses we don't belong in. We are public. Public education, public transportation, public infrastructure, public safety, public police, health, blah, blah, blah. That's what the government is. That's what we should be doing, those core functions. The pundits have done a wonderful job at sort of convincing people that the act of paying a tax is a horrible thing. We're adults. I gotta pay a tax. I need roads. I want my potholes. I want stop signs up. I want lights. The problem is what leadership does with the tax dollar. That's where the angst and the anger is. But if they can get you steered over here, then you're not paying attention. It's weapons, I call them WMDs, weapons of mass distraction. And that's how it's done a lot. I mean, what's going on in the country now, and what are we talking about, right? It's a wonderful dichotomy. I remember the last presidential debate between President Obama and Governor Romney. And the moderator asked each of them, what do you think the biggest threat to this country is? And I'm at home with my wife, and my daughter is home in college watching it, and I'm screaming the media. They've lost their mind. They don't understand the fourth estate. They don't understand the role anymore. They become fully engaged. Both sides, mind you, both sides. Fair disclosure, both sides are guilty of it. And if you want a great test of it, wait for your next domestic or international event, and then just sit at home and flip back and forth between Fox and MSNBC and watch, and you will see. You have to do your own homework. You can't believe what's in the paper. You can't believe mailers, campaign flyers, even on any candidates. You have to pick up the phone and call that candidate and say, what do you stand? What do you think? When you read it, you pick up that phone and go, Roche, did you do that? That's the only way we've got to do it. So, enough about that.
Has the Tribune treated you better?
Yeah.
I think they're better paper.
I don't know if it's a treatment thing. I'm no angel on it. The first things, the secretary thing, was ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's absolutely ignorant. It was a dumbass. It was a manufactured thing. I wasn't supposed to win. That is my book.
That's it.
That I'm working on.
You were, yeah.
That's the book, and you'll love it when
Some
when it's
Republicans
out.
didn't think you should have won either.
Well, I wasn't perfect. Remember, I was a Democrat, and I wasn't into politics. When at age 18, I said, Dad, what do? He went, my dad was what you would call a Republican today. He was a very, very conservative, blue collar, you're a Democrat, damn it. I'm 18, hairs down to here. I'm like, okay, man. And I didn't really engage. I voted for whoever I wanted. The crazier Ross Perot got, the more I liked him. I loved his basic chart, he telling people strength. And I didn't really get into it until I ran. And then I got into the party aspect of it. And what I'm seeing, sadly, we talked about this earlier, happening in the Republican Party right now is what happened. I watched it over there, same thing. Each your own. Each your own. And we can't do that. I respect our presidents. I respect the office. I agree with the man, but we're playing their game. We're playing their game, and we need to get a hold of ourselves and realize that what happened in 2012 was a wave. You see, and this is 2008, 2010, 2012, 2014. That's why they call it a wave. It goes up and down, and you'll see the semantics being played. In 2010 was a Tea Party wave, a Republican wave. 2012, a Democrat mandate. It's words, and we're being played with. We turned Washington over to Hollywood in 2008. You get sound bites, commercials, that's what you get. And we have to be smart enough to do our own homework and have our elected officials stand in front of you in rooms like this and answer questions. Not sound bites, not with sound bites, with questions. So, with real answers and substance. So, this is what I do. And if in the end of next year, 2014, if I've done a fine job, you'll go do it again for one last term. If I haven't, you'll throw me out, and as well you should, if that's the way you feel. But I will tell you this, I will continue to do exactly what I'm doing today, telling the truth, doing my homework, asking the questions that need to be asked, and by right, everyone should ask. People ask me, I think it was during our legislative delegation meeting, and Senator Bell was talking about an argument about me we're just wanting to win or lose or win a vote. None of it is not a vote to me. It goes down 6-1 and I'm the only, oh well. It's not a win or loss for me, it's a representation. That's why there's 7. Our citizens don't elect the board. They elect board members. And that is a Socratic process, to have different ideas, a different perspective. You see the stuff going on now about the fluoride still. You know, it's over. You know, it's back in the extra fluoride's back in your water. It was a 6-1 vote. I was the one who voted against it. So apparently the only argument left is that I had a different opinion. And if that's a problem in our government, and someone in a group had a different opinion, an opposing viewpoint.
At least you didn't vote to take it out and then put it back in again. I mean,
a different idea.
how do you do that? How do you vote to take it out and then put it back in?
You have to do.
And I love John, but please.
We'd have to do. I can't. We don't have enough time for me to undo the false and absolute egregious disservice that was done to this community over that whole issue by the newspaper and some of my colleagues, some of the other people.
And win a Pulitzer Prize for on top of it.
We don't, and I'd have to undo a lot of it. I'll just give you a couple key. Number one, we didn't vote to take fluoride out of the water.
No.
Fluoride, it's in your water. It's always been in your water. It's in everything you eat and drink. The biggest question is maybe sometimes, in fact, the CDC is starting to recognize maybe we're getting too much. So it wasn't 2 or 3 right-wing Tea Party people who did it, who complained, who caused the whole thing. All we did was suspend putting extra fluoride in your water. If you'll watch the meeting, and I would highly recommend, if you still have, if you want to talk about it, you need to watch the meeting and recognize that it's 3.5 hours, and I made 3 motions. My first motion was, let's suspend putting it in there until we can have the science, because before us were PhDs, dentists, doctors, chemists on both sides of the issue, and predominantly against it are Democrats and environmentalists, not 2 or 3 Tea Party people that the paper told you for over a year. And I said, let's just stop putting it in until we figure this out. Because both of you, I'm not here to say that this doctor's a nut and this one is, hey, they both have PhD, what are you talking about? So, one of my colleagues, I think it was John, said that's too complicated. No, it was Nancy, said that's too complicated. Try again or something like that. So I made a second motion. And that second motion was that we suspend putting it in the water until we decide whether or not the people who own this water system and drink this water have a voice in this and should vote on it. That's a remarkable idea. It's democracy, or Republican government by democracy. So I said, how about that? No. And then it was John who said, just make it simple, Roche. And I went, fine, let's stop putting it in. Boom, all hell broke loose from that. Next meeting, I voted to leave the equipment in place so we can get back to discussing about this and really get the science and the data and have the debate everybody said we were ignoring. Never got to, by the way. Not a shred of it. And from there, I'm going to actually move to keep the equipment in place so we can talk about this. I'm open to it. Let me hear the science. And we never did. From there, it was editorials and campaign mail.
Mike, you had a question.
Then from here, I got it.
Just to change the subject to something else.
Okay.
How's the Pinellas County Commission going to go? I mean, are they going to help Bill Foster for us to keep the raise, or are you guys going to wash your hands of it?
No, actually, I was the one who started pushing that we start getting into it over a year or so ago. I brought it to the commission saying, I don't want to watch this play out on editorial pages. You know, let's do our job here and get involved with them. I love the Rays. I love to see them stay. But will I write a check for a stadium? No, I think those days are over. I think they're over, and what just happened in Tallahassee with Miami's audit and everybody, those days are over. I met with the Rays, I met with their attorneys. You want to come up with an idea where we ask the citizens? You want to come up with a plan where it's 60-40, the revenue split, or we get paid back first, we get whatever. What's your plan? That was my biggest argument. That's why I was bringing it there. Everybody's talking about it. I'm not seeing a plan. Nobody's laid, except for that thing on the waterfront down there. I'd like to see them stay. It's a beautiful stadium. I've been in the cheap seats. I've been in the nice seats. I volunteer a dozen games a year with my wife. We do, and the money goes to the school. We do concessions, you know. And I go to as many games as I can afford to go to. But I had this conversation with Stewart Sternberg when it came to the commission. and asking some very direct questions. These are very bright men. You know, everybody wants to blow off the economy. It's still, the economy's stupid, is what I want to say. You know, it still is, guys. We have to fix this, but it's not going to come back magically. So I asked Stuart, I said, what percentage do you assign to the viability of a team? What percentage do you assign to the economy, the local economy? Again, $45,000 a year, average median household income in this county. And he said, that's a good question. I think he came out, the figure was 20% or something of that nature. And then I tried to explain, look, I think I'm the poorest county commissioner up there, by the way. And I said, look, I go to the games, but if it's my wife and my son and I, well, that's $3 $20 tickets. That's $20 to park. That's a beer, a hot dog, Coach, or whatever. So it's $100 a day or whatever. And we do that, and we budget, and we plan, and we go do that. I can't do that 4 times a week. And that's what you're saying. Your average, even after the crash, the average attendance is 19,000. After the crash, that's pretty darn good. And I don't believe it's the same 19,000 every night. That's what I tried to, he said they'd never done a study about that. I thought, I didn't think about that. Maybe we do. I said, you've got people who are just trying to budget and get as many as they can. And every stormwater tax, every property tax increase, every time your gas goes up, every time EMS goes up, that's one less raise game people are going to go to. You cannot sustain on $40,000 to $45,000 a year. We have to go after larger, better paying jobs in this county from a micro technology. We're doing some of that. There's a little sort of, they call it the little Silicon Valley, 34th Street, 16th. Because there's a lot of little technology, storage, medical issues are there too. And we need to get our focus on that before we look at other things. So what helps them stay? That's fine, but that's back to that regional thing. I'm not here to, I wasn't elected to be a regional representative. I was elected for Pinellas County. So I believe Foster's, his stance, that contract, that's what it is. When the economy changes, you got a plan you can lay on the table, we got something we can agree, that's fine. Until then, there's a contract. And that's what it is. I would love them to stay. I gave an idea of raising the roof. Lift the roof, build a 4-story parking garage across 16. Redevelop the parking lot into a mixed use. To hell with building a pier, put in a cruise ship dock. Let's make a straw market down. Again, let's grow up. Let's take some. Actually, that pier was originally designed to receive 2 cruise ships. Let's do that. Let's put a straw market down there. Take that in the parking lot. Do a mixed use. Put a parking garage across. Put a new roof on it. Put a glass, whatever. Make it something that the community gets return on. A different story. If you're just coming like this, I can't go see it. Sorry. So I will go. Now again, you want to put it on a ballot? You want to have citizens of Pinellas County to pay for it and then go do it? Okay. But there's no, and the money from the bed tax that's left, that goes away, that's like $5 to $6 million a year. That cannot bond out or underwrite. They say it's $500,000, but it's really going to be about $750 million, $1 billion.
Does Pinellas County have any financial involvement in the Pier project?
No. I was a little, well, we approved the CRA.
You what?
We approved the CRA for St. Pete, the community redevelopment area, which they did that. And we can do that, but we don't have, Pinellas County does because you're all taxpayers, so to the core of your question, yes. But direct control over that, no. We can approve it, but the city does have its authority to do it. Now, I was a little upset. Excuse me. Now the Rubio woman, I need water. I was upset because staff, we had asked, several commissioners had asked over the past several months of staff, our county administrator and our attorney, because we were getting emails from folks saying, hey, get involved here. Oh, thank you, Rock. You are a gentleman and a scholar. Don't care what Gail said about you earlier.
She says a lot of things now. It's okay.
And we're constantly told we have no involvement whatsoever. So I was less than pleased with the administrator when he called me right before it hit the paper. That's the only role I've ever given the administrator, other than being honest and integral, which is, I want to hear before I read about you in the paper. Me, they write about all the time, no matter how I control it. But, you people, you know, we were told we had nothing to do with it. Turns out we do have something to do with it on the permit. But from my perspective, it's a no-brainer. The citizens want to vote. It is citizens' money. There's no magical guy named Federal who has a big bank account and write checks out. Or there's no magical guy named State. It's our money, all of our money. And if the citizens, in this economic situation at this day of time, the citizens want a voice on it, by God, how do you refuse that? I don't understand that move, I really don't.
Just real quick, I just wanted to say that, talking about putting things on the ballot, which I've always felt, you know, gee, that's the thing to do, put things on the ballot, let the people.
Novel idea.
But the process now has been so corrupted, and like the light rail, what you're gonna be seeing is this green light Pinellas campaign, and using our tax dollars to show one side of the story, and not show both sides of the story, because there's a lot, like Charlotte, for example, they've got big problems in Charlotte, trying to build the extensions, and they now into multi-billion-dollar problems in Charlotte, in trying to complete a project, you know, years later than when they first started it, and how expenses go up. So you're talking about the stadium, talking about light rail. When you start talking about putting these things on the ballot, it's been very disheartening to me personally to see how that kind of a campaign can be just so one-sided. And then the people will vote because they get sold on the sexy campaign and not a fiscal. We need to have fiscal impact in this county. Anything that is on the
You need to show a return on the
referendum.
investment.
Huh?
You need to show a return on the investment.
Well, we need to know
To the
what
citizens, and the
yeah,
citizens
something
want that.
financial needs to be disclosed on the ballot.
Well, it's an interesting thing because, and Representative Hoover will correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I believe it was then Senator Justice who pushed for the bill that prohibited the use of tax dollars to campaign for a tax. He's actually sitting with us on the board now. He hasn't said much about that since he's been there on it.
I think Brandon.
But I think that's back to the semantics issue. It's not selling you, we're educating you. It's words. Again, I think our problem, Barb, runs into when we get into the sort of the conspiracy things. You know, our president, you know, is he a socialist? Yeah. Does he want a socialist system? Yeah. It's obviously to me. And I'm not attacking him for that. That's his belief. There are countries that run on that. We run into trouble when we finish that with the communists, the Agenda 20. That's where, because all we're doing is giving the media the opportunity to ignore everything and go after that. That's what happened with, God, I hate to bring us around, that Florida. Two people got up there and made a comment like that. That's all you ever read. They had their narrative, and that's it. We have to be careful with that. We have to not get caught up in that and simply call it what it is. I don't agree with it, but some people do. They want that kind of system. I don't. I had to fight for over $500,000 on a veterans program. I dump millions and millions of dollars in this county every year to homeless and people who never served and never worked on, never paid into it. And I'm up there on the board of county commission fighting for $500,000 for veterans to put their ass on the line so I could even sit there. Sorry, I get real angry with that. It just, there's a thing going, yeah, that's the push. That's where a lot of it is. We just have to call it out and not conspiratorialize it and thus give the detractors a sidebar, a weapon of mass distraction to go around. Just call it what it is. Say I disagree, and here's why, and here's what we offer, a republic governed by a democratic process founded in the Constitution. That's what we are. And we need to just stand on it and not get caught up into the semantics game, man. That's what's happening. We've become the soundbite world, and we got to stop that. We got to demand more. And I'm not a soundbite. We can go all night. You guys want to stay? Let's get coffee. I'm good. That's the one. I get that. I do. I've learned a little bit.
I would love to let you go on. You know, you're interesting to listen to. You make a lot of sense.
Thank you.
But we have to move on.
It is. But let me ask this. Is there a burning question that anyone wants to ask and just get it? Al, you have a burning question, I should go ahead and get for you.
I just want to know what position you would run for if you don't get reelected to county commissioner, because you have to stay to advocate for us.
I was up in Tallahassee this week and talked to the governor, but we'll talk about that another time.
Not burning enough, huh?
In 2004, I'm a term limit guy. I believe it.
That's good.
And I've been in front of our charter review ever since '96. I voted for it. You may not be. I'm not. It's the different opinions. That's all. I believe in it. With this case that's going on, my particular opinion on term limits is irrelevant. Yours is respectfully irrelevant, and editorial boards is sure as hell irrelevant. The only opinion that matters in this whole debate is the opinion of 73% of the citizens in this county that said that's what you ought to kind of go. That's it. End of game for me. You're a representative. I may not like it. End of game. So I have always said I'm going to, if I'm blessed for one, great. If I'm blessed for two, that's it. I won't seek a third. Our citizens want term limits here, and whether the technicality gets them out or not.
That's fine for the county
Right.
commissioner, but if you don't get reelected to that, would you consider running for something else somewhere down the line?
Yes. You know, I don't want to, you know, I had a wonderful career in engineering, paid very well. Before this, I didn't do this for fame or fortune. I don't think a lot of people can be able to figure that out about me yet, because they keep thinking there's some political game. There isn't. I wanted to do this job. I live here, grow up here. I want to do the work for them. And do it for 2 terms, and I don't know what I'll do that. Right now, I'm focused on, they're pushing me to get to because they want to write about me in ad. You know, they're like, come on, you're jumping in, they're pushing it constantly, because the paper wants to do that, you know. You want another stimulus package, I ain't giving it to them. When my house sells, I'll make a decision. If it doesn't, I'm running for the seat I'm in again. And if you want to, and if that means that and I go at it, so be it. It doesn't bother me. I mean, and it's not disrespectful, it's just, that's what it is, it's what it is. I walk in with my head up, I'm walking out with it. After that, I don't know. Right now, I'm focused on trying to figure out how to keep you from going broke. And with a 6-to-1 vote up there, that is pretty much what it's been.
Do you think the courts are going to vote to keep Maroney
Term
and
limit thing?
Martell and those people on?
I would just tell you this.
Term limited?
There is only one county in the state of Florida and 4 county commissioners in the state of Florida that are fighting this. And that's us and our commissioner. How you carve an exception out of the Constitution for Pinellas County, I don't know. But I have no idea what this judge will rule. But we'll know, I think, within like a week and a half.
Yeah, sure.
One way or another. But let me tell you this, if either way, we're going to be fine. I think what scares the hell out of them more than the 4 of them going is knowing that if they go, I'm the senior county commissioner. That scares the hell out of them. But, you know, it's,
Then do we get to have another election in the interim?
you know, there's a couple options. The governor commissions us.
Oh, the governor.
I have a commission saying, hanging on, my office has one thing hanging on, it's a thing from my wife, Mother Teresa, her speech on, even though they keep hitting you, get up, you know, that kind of stuff. But on the other, my secretary assistants, I have it signed by Chris, because he was the governor at the time, probably Chris. So the governor can do whatever he wants. The governor can go down right now, before any judge rules, and do what he wants to do. But there are some options that are legal and statutory if you so choose. If you're in the first 2 years of a 4-year term, you can have special elections. If you're in the second 2 years or the back end of a 4-year term, you're encouraged to appoint. So if that goes down, you could see that. You could see the governor say 4 special elections. You could see the governor say y'all stay in until, but you can't no more. So it really is, he has that authority to do what he wishes. I have no idea. I have no idea what it is and what it will become. I find it interesting that the judge did not take an easy route out, which could have been a dismissal. So he wants to rule. And I'm pretty sure he's aware that he's ruling on constitutional issues. It's a big ruling. And I don't know, but how Pinellas is different than the other 66 counties, how you can make that argument, I don't know. But we are special. We are the American Riviera, man, I gotta believe it. I don't know how special we are, but we'll see. But if they go, rest assured that we'll be okay. Your water will turn on. Your sewers, your toilets will flush, schools will be open. You know, your police will come if you call them. EMS will be there with you if they call. We'll be okay. You'll be told to boil water, stir candle. But we won't, we'll be okay. So it's okay.
Just it's time for them to.
This county operated on 5 commissioners, they've operated on 7, they can operate on 3 until whatever comes to it, so. And I have faith that my 2 new colleagues that I work with will be fine, so, and I'll be fine, we'll be fine. So don't read the paper. Call me. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
All right.